Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. When I was in fifth grade, I had a classmate who had a birthday in early January. I can't remember the exact date, but he had a party. He had food, and we had some leftover cake. And I asked my teacher if she wanted it, and she said no. She was trying to lose weight. And so it was my first concept of anybody of trying to lose weight by not partaking in food. I was in fifth grade. I ate everything, even though some of that food was causing my autism to flare up. I didn't know that. And so it was my first touch with anybody controlling their diet. And a few days later, she said that she had made the goal just a few days earlier. It was a New Year's resolution. It was my first time hearing about that concept, too. A few days later, I saw my teacher eating crap again, and I asked her, hey, what's up with that? I thought you wanted to lose weight. And she told me, didn't you know New Year's resolutions usually only last less than a week? And so I couldn't believe what she was saying. And you know what? The other day when she was asking me if I had any New Year's resolutions, I had mentioned that I wanted to get good grades in her class, and when she told me that she broke her New Year's resolution, it kind of gave me the license to break mine as well. So everybody was breaking their New Year's resolutions. A few days later, I ran into my fourth grade teacher, and I asked her if she had any New Year's resolutions. She didn't, but her sister was trying to quit smoking, and I don't know how that went, but it's been 30 years. Hopefully she has found a way to quit smoking after all these years. I don't know. But that wasn't the funniest failure of New Year's resolutions I ever heard. When I was 19 years old, I had a former classmate from high school tell me he wanted to lose weight. And then he started complaining. He sent me we were using AOL Instant Messaging at the time. He sent me, at two different occasions, he said that he was at a party and there was no food he could find that was suitable. And so I thought he must have lost a lot of weight during those 2 weeks. After all, he was complaining. Every time he went to an event of some sort, he was complaining that there weren't any healthy foods, right? You got to remember, this was 20 years ago when a lot of parties were not very health conscious. And so he couldn't find any suitable food. And I asked him, how much weight did you lose? You've been complaining nonstop for 2 weeks. And he said he hadn't lost very much weight. I said, why not? And he said that it was because he doesn't poop enough. He was constipated. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy, he's at least 30 pounds overweight. I'm picturing him being stuffed with 30 pounds of poop and of how disgusting that might be. And I joked with him, just like my grandmother was just cremated the other day. I joked with him, when you die, I hope you don't get cremated because the whole town is going to stink from all that poop, right? I joked with him about that. And ever since then, I tease him about him being stuffed with poop, but that was that. And my best New Year's resolution I ever made was in 2020. In 2019 going into 2020, my eating habits were out of control. To give you an idea of how badly they were out of control, even after I made the resolution, it was March of 2020, and we were locked up, right? I was sitting at home texting my boss. I was teaching at Washington Technology University. One day I was texting my boss about something with one of the students. And while I'm texting with him, I'm eating, right? And we were talking about something. All of a sudden, my boss gives, let me call you. I think we should speak about this. And I'm like, no, don't call me. I'm eating. And I literally got angry with him. Well, I didn't shout over the phone or anything, but internally I was so messed up from having to put my food aside that it ruined the spirit of the conversation. And that was not an uncommon situation in my life back then. And so at the turn of the decade, 2019 going into 2020, I made it a resolution to normalize my relationship with food. Oh, there was another problem. A lot of times my day would be messed up because I would go out to look for my favorite foods and they were sold out or not available. I used to live with roommates. I was just about to go to get my favorite food. It's in the fridge. My roommate accidentally took it for some reason. And those things used to cause me a lot of drama. And I wanted to have more peace in my life. I made the resolution. Well, 2 months into the resolution, I went to the store. All my favorite foods were sold out. So was the toilet paper. And you know what? As messed up as I was that week, it could have been a lot worse had I not been prepared for it. Let's just put it that way. So that was my most successful. I can't believe it's been 5 years since I made that resolution. I really can't. But I'm so glad I made it. I made that resolution in 2020. Had I made it any other year, right, 2019, 2018, 2017, it might not have taken on the life that it did, and it made it all that worthwhile, right? Had I not made it, had I waited until 2021 to make the resolution, oh my God, I would have been real messed up when the events of 2020 took place, right? It would have been too little too late by that point, right? This year I hope to resolve to get better at negotiating. There were too many times I let things slide when I should have spoken up for myself. So my last housing situation, I was living with 2 roommates, including the owner of the house, and I allowed things to get too carried away. My landlord refused to write up anything. And so she said, she's planning on selling the house in May or something like that. And all of a sudden there was damage and she was panicking and she wanted me out of there. In retrospect, I think she knew that she didn't know how many months she had left. And she threw all the uncertainty onto me. In retrospect, 2 problems. Number one, I was in a bad situation when I was moving into the house, right? I was lonely. The heat wave. I had just recovered from COVID-19. I just started a new job in Apache Junction. I was in a terrible situation. Not terrible, but transitory situation. And I was desperate to cling on to something. And I think that allowed me to be so wussy in that whole conversation. I need to strengthen my situation to avoid that. And number two, I don't like to rock the boat. Let me give you an example. Thanksgiving night, I was at a friend's house, and I had such a good time. And then I got home, and my landlord was like, "Hey, do you think you can pay December's rent early? We just had all these repairs." And I didn't want to jeopardize the chemistry of the good times that I was having. Let the good times roll, right? The last thing I want to do is to open my mouth and say, "Hey, I think you need to do some. Can I pay toward the repair so that at least I know it's going somewhere," right? Because the end result was she took the money and she dragged her feet on the repairs, and not good, right? I should have at least rebutted that, right? I didn't even rebut it. I was having such a good time with my girlfriend and the rest of the friends at that party, and so I forgot. That's a common theme of mine. I get myself so high on whatever I'm doing, I just let the good times roll, even if it's to my detriment, right? So I need to get better at that. I got into an argument with my boss last semester about decorating the office. I share an adjunct office with a bunch of colleagues, and I got a little bit too carried away. I decorated it with Legos, with Christmas trees, with Christmas kind of things, with the Mondrian art squares, and of course with the metal casting. And my boss was very upset one day, and I didn't even know the context. Apparently what had happened was somebody had made a stink about not having room to write on the board. I didn't realize that part. But my boss made it seem like the sky was falling, and caused my heart to pound all day. And it just goes to show I need to lay a better foundation so that I'm not going to have my chest pound out of control every time my boss opens his mouth. It really goes to show I wasn't in as good a position as I could be. And it really stinks because when I'm single, I don't have all those resources, right? I got to cook for myself. And I was just talking to my family, and my dad thinks that I have too much bismuth and I could take a break from hoarding that. And I'll have to think about that. I had hoped to have enough to open like a gallery of some sort, and so unfortunately, I'm going to put that on pause so that I can take better care of my connectivity. So I'm not going to make too many. Every year, I tend to make a very aggressive investment goals. This year, I'm going to put $2,000 in my Roth IRA so that I can get the Savers credit. And that's it. I'm not going to stack any more metals for the year, and I'm not going to put any more than the 2,000. If I do it, it will be extra, right? My goal is just 2,000 in the Roth IRA, and then invest in my own connectivity and negotiation skills. I'll have more money to live a little bit. That's been a big soreness of mine. And yeah, this is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.